I'm Lydia Hamlett, Academic Director in the History of Art at the Institute of Continuing Education. For this bite-size, I was asked to present a piece on a famous artist. But studying mural painting in Britain in the 17th and early 18th centuries, I don't really work on many famous artists. There are many recognisable names in the 18th century. For example, some of us will have heard of Hogarth, Turner and Reynolds. But it got me thinking, what does it really mean if an artist is famous? What's more interesting to me and many other art historians is what art means to those who experience it, both in the past when it was made and today. The artists who painted my murals, for example, have frequently been dismissed as painting frivolous, incomprehensible subjects, and frankly not in a very competent way. And yet they painted the interiors of the most famous royal palaces and houses in Britain, and were at the time undeniably prolific. One of these not-so-famous artists, who was indeed very famous in his time, was Antonio Verrio, named by King Charles II as his principal painter. Born in Lecce, southern Italy, in the late 1630s, the height of the Italian Baroque, Verrio travelled north via Rome, then Toulouse and Paris, where he studied at the French Academy before arriving in England in 1675. He found enough work to remain here for the rest of his life and died in London in 1707. But the first obstacle we have in studying Verrio's work is that well over half of it's been destroyed. And this is most obvious. If you've been to Windsor Castle, you'll know this. Charles II commissioned here a whole series of 25 rooms, transforming the whole interior of the castle into a kind of fantasy world. But most of these have been lost, and only 3 of these remain. As art historians, we're bound to piece together evidence from a number of sources to recreate what it would have been like, through a mixture of visual sources, including prints and drawings, as well as archival documents. For Windsor, there exist many manuscripts, for example, that show what Verrio was paid and when, and who was in his vast team of artist assistants. Another challenge lies in the fact that the performance and other arts which these paintings were intended to interact with and to animate, of course, no longer occur. So, as art historians, we must widen our interest to the visual culture of the period, not only considering the painting itself, but all the other aspects with which it interlinked. As a Catholic artist, Verrio was said to have initially refused to work for the Protestant William of Orange after the so-called Glorious Revolution. And instead he went to Burghley House in Stamford to work for John Cecil, the 5th Earl of Exeter. Here, Verrio set about painting another series of rooms, but this time relating to the concerns of his new patron. But we have to know about the politics, the history, as well as the stories from classical mythology to try and decipher exactly what the schemes meant to viewers of the time. Perhaps due to his nationality and religion, as well as the type of art that he was painting, Verrio was the subject of scorn even at the time he was painting it, and especially when mural painting went out of fashion. But he and many others successfully took sources from the continent, repackaged and shaped the whole course of British visual culture. If you want to find out more about the famous, not-so-famous artists and their legacy to 17th century British visual culture, this is just one of the in-depth topics in our new diploma in History of Art. At ICE, we will help you to learn the skills of an art historian and to unlock stories of your own.